Hi, everybody, and welcome to NAUI's Dive Team Report. I'm your host, Greg Martin. You know, one of the things about scuba diving is that you can pretty much do it anywhere there's enough water to get wet. That can mean the Puget Sound here in North America's Pacific Northwest, the Caribbean, the Philippines, any number of dive sites around the European continent. Anywhere you go on this planet to dive, you can find a NAUI facility thanks to people like Richard Lucas, who heads up NAUI Europe out of the Netherlands. Richard, how did you get involved with NAUI?
Well, we got involved already in the 80s. My father was one of the first instructors, NAUI instructors here in Europe. He did it in, I think it was 83 or 84 in Italy. After that, we stayed teaching the NAUI system, but let's say not really much happened. Then, end of the 90s, an instructor of another organization came to me and said, well, I like to go NAUI, but I called headquarters and they told me to contact Dick. Who is Dick? Well, I said, that's my father. So I brought him in contact with my father. And that's how it started, that we did more than only teaching the normal classes with NAUI, but went up to levels as course director and workshop director.
The European market is massive, and I'm sure that has its own set of issues.
The fact is that Europe is not a united Europe like the United States. We have more than 30 countries, we have 28 different languages, and we have at least 70 different cultures. Within countries, we have some more than one language than only the main language, so it's not that easy. And that's when the management in those days decided to open their own office in Europe, but they want Europeans to be involved due to the fact they know the history, the culture, but also the logistics that goes behind it, more familiar with all the different laws, and etc. And that's how my father and I became partners for NAUI Europe. And it opened and went official in 2004.
So, Richard, you've seen a lot of changes in the last 10, 15 years.
When I see today's management doing their thing, and also the board of NSG with all the new input, the way they communicated, the way they really acted and did things, and then let's say some kind of explosion during last DEMA to show that the organization is ready for the coming 10 years and even more, it gave me a really good feeling. And it was also historic, because that was the first time that all the partners worldwide belonging to NAUI were in one room, talking together, making an agenda together, and meeting together. It was really good.
One of the things when I talk to a lot of people, especially the executive level of NAUI, that we don't talk about an awful lot is basically the core of what NAUI is, and that's diving. Do you still dive on a regular basis?
Yes, still dive on a regular basis, and I also teach actively. So that means that I'm doing that more for 33 years now, and still love to be in the water. And what makes us unique as all NAUI members is that we are still an organization that is an association, because all the others that we have working worldwide are limited, are companies. And the fact that we are still able as an association to make sure to grow and to take part of the market, I think that is astonishing, because an association has other, let's say, difficulties in growing than a company has, other ways of making finances possible and funding it than a company does. And the fact that NAUI is able to do so, I think that's very special.
I want to ask you an open-ended question here, Richard, and that is, we know that the age of the divers is going up. Average age is what, mid-60s now for the diving population. Mm-hmm. We know that we need to have younger people and more people involved in diving. What do you feel is the answer from NAUI Europe to that problem? I know that's kind of an open-ended question, and there maybe isn't an answer, but jump in there.
Well, there are answers that you can do all kinds of marketing and all kinds of ideas to bring the people between 20 and 40 years of age into scuba diving. But I was at a seminar a couple of weeks ago in which they explained what is happening in our economy, especially here in Europe. And the fact that we have this older group of people diving that will continue for the coming 10 years. Because it simply affects, and you can calculate it with all the historic information we have, the way the population is built, and what activities they are doing. So I think it's good that we keep on looking and doing things to have the younger ones in, but I think it's even maybe more important to understand that the 45 plus age is our market for the coming 10 years. So our strategy should be to look not only to how do we get the young ones again in, but how do we make sure that today's generation into scuba diving, how do we serve them best? And how do we make sure that we get them to NAUI instead of whatever choice they should make? And how do we get them even more into scuba diving instead of all kind of other sports activities that are showing up and popping up these days?
Do you have the same problem we have here with folks that wind up getting certified? They dive actively for a year, maybe 2 years, and then they will drop out. We either don't see them again or we see them 5, 6, 10 years down the road looking to get recertified. Do you have that same issue?
Yes, it's the same is happening here, and I know that they did a survey to see people that got their first certification, and the first certification after that, the first year, not a second one. So that means you got your scuba diver certificate, but then a full year after that, nothing happens, no new certification after that. And they tried to check why are you not going any further, because somebody who became scuba diver and normally should do their advanced or a nitrox specialty or whatsoever in the first year. And what came up as the sentence is that many of them described that they were happy to survive the course. So it means that what happened in many, many courses, and is still happening, is that people learn to dive, but the way it is done is too quick. Because at the end, when they get their first certificate, they maybe are able to show the minimum we have in our standards, but they do not feel themselves comfortable. I think at the end of a course, we should not only give the certificate due to the fact that they can show all the skills, but that they also are 100% comfortable in the water. He will enjoy it, he will share it with others, he will take others in the water, he wants others to become part of his enjoyment of what he likes, what he really is feeling. And somehow, within the complete dive industry, we are not able, or we haven't done that for the last 10 years. And that's, I think, one of the reasons that the 20 to 40 year group of people we would like to have back in our industry is popping out. Because when they come into scuba diving and they have their first lessons, they get a certificate, maybe they can show the skills, but they do not feel comfortable.
Well, I tell you what, Richard, I'm excited about the changes that are happening with NAUI right now. I'm looking forward to many, many more conversations like this about how to renew and reinvigorate the dive industry. I think NAUI Europe is going to be a major, major part of that.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, a big thank you to Richard Lucas and all the folks with NAUI Europe. If you want to find out more about NAUI, be sure and visit our website at naui, naui.org. And that's this episode of NAUI's Dive Team Report. I'm Greg Martin. Thanks for listening. I'll see you underwater.